let's dive into a few hot topics in the hobby. Alright, so before I get started, I've got a couple cards that I'm about to send off to grade. I don't do too many, probably two-ish a month, just because I don't want to get crazy in that, but a few that I want to show you guys just to, they're not in perfect condition by any means, but they're not bad. I'm sure most of you recognize that Griffey rookie. The second one. I'm not looking for very high grades in these. It just is what it is. Just cards I like. Bonds rookie. It's in pretty good shape, and what you're seeing on the top there is on my top loader, not on the card, so FYI. Have a Verlander. Just love that card. It almost looks fake. Well, it looks like he's very badly photoshopped onto this card. He may actually be. I have no idea. This is a pretty famous one. The Bo Jackson with the bow on the back. This one has a dent in the card, which is why I can afford to own it. Got it from a guy who's selling his collection. I don't look for it to get a high grade either. You can see the dent there in the card. But it's the only copy I've had, or ever had, so just one of those. This is kind of a weird card. It's not going to be anything special, but this is the only, if you can see the stamp in the corner, it's the only Desert Shield card that I've ever owned. For whatever reason, this set has eluded me for forever, and I happened to come across one, and I figured there's probably somebody out there who's trying to grade a set who needs that card, and I need some more vintage cards, so if it grades well, then there we go. Next one's not worth a whole lot. Aikman Super Rookie. It's a great copy of that card. Have high hopes for that one. But that's one that will go into the PC. So, anyway, just want to show off a couple that I'm currently trying to figure out what to send this month. So we'll pick from those and then send them off. I use GameStop and all that comes with it for some of the cards. If they were in super high condition, especially the Jeter, I probably would go a different route. But since they're not, I don't even anticipate upgrade fees on these. But anyway, so wanted to talk about something that I posted a TikTok video yesterday. I've posted a few in the last couple days, and I've not been as good about posting regular shorts on YouTube. I'm going to try to at least put out a long form content once a week. I posted about braking, and it's been a subject that's come up in multiple avenues, across different platforms, different speakers, different people who are bigger in the hobby bringing it up. And I have a personal view on it that is starting to take shape. Braking is something that scares me. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I mentioned that I used to have a gambling addiction, and there's a lot of similarities between braking and casinos. Now, where I'm from, it's a small place with just a few machines in it. It's not a casino, but the same rush, the same chase, trying to hit the big one. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And I guess for TikTok wise, it's gone semi-viral for card content. It's been a crazy outflow of comments. People thanking me for putting a reminder out there that they're saving it to their favorites. They can go back and watch it again. And I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm pretty confident that this is a much larger problem than we can even imagine. And I think it's happening a lot to families, more so than, if you were considered like a drug addiction, it's going to be, kind of doom and gloom. You picture somebody in the streets, no home, no family, everything's just kind of gone south. I think this is happening in the same way, but with people who have financial capital. And it's going on credit cards, it's going on, people are putting themselves in a lot of trouble with breaking. And I have a feeling that a lot of spouses probably don't know. Assume the worst on this one because of the comments that I've gotten. There's a pretty good outflow of people who are very concerned about how deep they've gotten into it. Some that don't feel they can get out. I know there are some resources that are just now starting to pop up for gambling addiction for sports cards. I don't have any trust in those yet because I don't know what they're about. I don't know enough about it to throw a name out there and say, go see these people. I would just suggest that, if it's a problem, that you find some help. So I want to reiterate that on this video because I think it's important to remind ourselves that this is supposed to be a hobby. And while there are some who treat it as a full-time business, it doesn't have to be that way, right? And it's financially destructive. Yeah, you may get a big one, but long term, it's not going to work out. It's a big waste of money. And there are some who do it the right way, right? There are some who see breaking as entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There are some great breakers out there. There are some who do it right. But then there are some who will rip you a new one, and there are some who will fully take advantage of you. So just be careful. In the video I mentioned, be careful who you buy from, be careful who you listen to, and be careful what you're spending. Try to set a budget just like you would an entertainment budget for going to a game or watching a movie. So that being said, I wanted to put out a video, and it doesn't directly affect me because I'm not a large name in the hobby as of yet. I do have a decent following on TikTok, but it's mainly just me sharing thoughts. So I think it's Sports Card Dad-ish put out a video about SGC and grading in relation to PSA absorbing SGC and so on. And he actually called out Mike Moynihan in his video. And Mike, if you're watching this and you see this, you may go watch. I guess for kind of starting like a pseudo panic over SGC being absorbed by PSA, and he's using evidence. A video interview done with the CEO of PSA, and while I don't want to do the same thing and try to, and I don't think Mike did this at all, but I don't want to go through and try to incite any kind of panic. Don't grade with SGC. Don't, not that I have that kind of reach. But there's some writing on the wall, right? And you can make arguments for all you want. The guy who is over PSA is making a lot of we them statements. And he's also offering employees the chance to come over and grade with PSA. No business is going to come out and tell you what their future plans are. They don't want SGC submissions to completely halt, just stop overnight because they agreed to a rumor that SGC is going to be absorbed by PSA. No smart business would ever just come out and say, yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to deny that until there's an official announcement. It's just the way business works. It makes sense for them to do it. It makes sense for PSA to kind of absorb-ish SGC and some of the things that they're doing. One of the strongest arguments I've seen to the argument that something eventually will happen with SGC. And he kind of made a snarky comment about, that people eventually will be right. If they say, oh, it'll take 50 years and it doesn't, then it'll take 100, and eventually they'll be right because something will happen. I don't think that's the case here. It's just a smart aleck joke. And I don't know the guy. He's probably well-intended or just trying to, get people's blood pressure raised up. If you're going to have a company who's considered to be decent, and even if they just have a niche market, you are not going to invest all of your money in one side of your market. If they truly want to keep SGC open, they need to invest money in SGC. If they want SGC to be seen as a comparable alternative to PSA, as a good second option from collectors, they need to invest money in SGC. The technologies that PSA offers, they're not in SGC. The marketing that PSA offers, not even in the drop of a hat. It's no wonder that the percentage of cards graded by PSA versus SGC is astronomical. Why would there be any more? They're not putting any money into advertising. They're not pushing SGC. They're saying that there's a niche market. We're going to try to satisfy this market for as long as we can. And then after that is done, what happens? I don't know. They're making the argument they're going to kind of wait till that generation dies off that grades with SGC, because it is primarily vintage cards that kind of hold the niche for them. And that's an argument that one could make, but it sounds ridiculous. I don't think SGC is going to go anywhere in the near future, but I do think it's being scaled down, and there eventually will be something that happens with SGC. That being said, SGC is an awesome slab. It looks great. PSA is an awesome slab. It looks great. There are a lot of other ones that are awesome. But just to kind of combine, what I've been talking about with various grading companies and the high demand for grading, we are very much into what I would consider anyway a junk slab era. And if you watch any number of videos on the number of cards that are being graded by PSA versus, let's just take the population of America, for example, and this is a national thing. Look at how many, assume that 20% of Americans collect cards, and then take the number of PSA submissions or PSA graded cards that exist. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't need them. There's way too many. And the graded cards are not ending up in the personal collections of most people. They're ending up on show floors and being traded back and forth between flipper to investor to flipper to investor. And then eventually a few makes it to the collector, who are the end user. And then they pass away, somebody else inherits them, they get sold again. It's a never-ending cycle of too many cards. And the cards that are being graded are ones that are less desirable. Like for me, example, I've got a few 1987 Topps base cards that are awesome to me because I was born in 87. I love the set. I buy those in, 8s or 9s mostly. Not many people are going to buy those, right? But if someone thinks they can get a 10, they're grading everything. And the reason they're grading everything is because they're trying to, it's for noble reasons, right? I mean, they're trying to either flip those cards out to make room to buy ones they want for their collection. But it's not going to end up going to an end user who wants that card 9 times out of 10. It's going to go to someone who's trying to flip it for a profit. And the unfortunate part of that is if you look at the charts of the cards, of their values over time, unless they're one of the all-time greats, and baseball's kind of an exception, there's a trend line that goes, relatively straight through all the mess that shows that the cards don't go up over time. Someone buys it at $50. They sell it to a vendor. The vendor offers them 80%. They buy the card. They turn around, they flip the card. Someone else decides they're going to sell the card. They sell it to someone else at 80%. They turn around and make $20 on it. Sell it again to someone for 80%. Turn around and make $20 on it. It's a never-ending cycle of the same cards getting sold over and over and over until the hype cycle finally wears off. So long story short, let me summarize what my warning is. Be careful buying PSA 10 cards. I would almost recommend that you don't do it unless it's going into your PC. The values of these cards are going to go down. It's just the way it is. I mean, there's no other way around it. These downtowns, these cards that people are losing their minds over, they're not going to hold the same value. They're just not. And the people who are buying them don't intend to put them in their PC for long-term investing. They should know better at this point, right? So if you're a collector and you're buying graded cards, buy them for your PC. You don't need a PSA 10 for your PC. Unless you're trying to maximize some of the all-time grades. If you're buying a Jordan and you can get it in a 10, that's going to go up in value, right? If you're buying a Mantle or Clemente, for the most part, they're going to go up. It's a safe investment. Buying a high grade is not a dangerous thing. Buying a high grade of a Jaden Daniels is crazy. Doesn't matter how good he is. Look at Tom Brady's cards. They're still awesome priced. Hype cycles mean everything. Everything when it comes to current cards. It's not a smart move to buy these cards at high grades with the hope of keeping them, collecting them. Well, unless it's for collecting them. And if you are collecting them, I would argue you don't need a PSA 10 anyway. Because the PSA 9 is pretty much a flawless card. And a lot more affordable. 10 times less than a PSA 10. And understand, you want to have the best copy and yada yada. PSA 9 is a best copy. It's just something, PSA noticed something under a microscope that you're not going to see in that slab anyway. Who cares? So, a couple warnings there. Just want to encourage you guys. Gambling is a rough addiction to handle, and sports cards is an easy way into that. It is a gamble. SGC is still a safe bet. Their slabs will be awesome long after SGC ceases to exist. It doesn't matter what the opinions are of online talking heads like me who have an opinion. At the end of the day, it's going to be a business decision between Collectors PSA and SGC. And it's kind of trending in the direction we can all see. Buying graded 10 cards, PSA 10, isn't always the best move. Matter of fact, I would say the majority of times probably not the smartest move. Just a few notes to take away today. I have some other videos that I'm working on to come out soon, but I wanted to put something out. Just kind of share the other ones that I've been posting on TikTok. If you guys don't follow me on there, it's the same thing. 5 Line Collectibles. I put a lot more frequently out there because it's shorter posts and easier to get on. Yeah, I'll have some more stuff coming out soon. I've enjoyed a lot of your all's content as well. I've been watching a lot of videos while you can't see my office right now, but it is a disastrous mess of cards everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I'm trying to organize into albums. I'm doing Hall of Fame runs of Junk Wax era cards that, I want to keep them because that's my era. I love it. But I don't want to keep them all. So I'm creating albums of just the Hall of Fame runs just so I can go through and look at them. Not that I want to keep in boxes and cherish forever, but I can actually scroll through. I'm doing boxes for doing a couple local shows maybe. I'm thinking about it. I'm pricing, putting stickers on cards. Low end stuff just to kind of to move and meet some people and network a little bit. Putting together some stuff to get back on eBay or if you guys haven't heard of it, I'm thinking about My Card Post. It's a good platform. There's an episode on Chasing Cardboard that focuses on them. A lot of stuff going on, not enough time. You guys know how it is. So I hope everybody's doing good, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.